Hi, this video features lower body and core resistance training exercises and includes the main muscles worked, a video with a description of each movement, do's and don'ts, and variations on the main exercises. The lower body and core exercises that will be covered include the barbell back squat, the barbell deadlift, lunges, back hyperextension, and tabletop crunches. The barbell back squat is an excellent full-body multi-joint exercise that primarily works the muscles of the lower body, including the gluteals, the hamstrings, the quadriceps, and also the core. To do the barbell back squat, first slide underneath the barbell on a squat rack and place the bar on your upper back with your hands in a wide overhand grip with your elbows back. Lift the bar off the rack and position the feet about shoulder width apart and parallel to one another, or with the toes slightly pointed outward. Inhale, contract the core, and then keep the head looking straight forward. Lower the weight by pushing the hips back and bending the knees, like sitting down in a chair. When the thighs are about horizontal to the floor, or lower if you have the hip flexibility, pause and then straighten the legs and lift the torso back up to the starting position, exhaling at the end of each movement. To do a barbell back squat with proper form, you need to pay attention to several key details. First of all, make sure to brace or tighten your core muscles and keep your back straight with a slight natural arch. Also, keep your eyes forward and slightly up through the movement. Keep the torso upright as much as possible throughout the movement as well. Also, keep the bar directly over the middle of your feet throughout the entire movement. And then lastly, push your heels into the floor. Here's another angle of the barbell squat where you can see all these factors in place. Pay particular attention to the position of the head, the eyes, the back, the torso, the feet, and also the bar. To do the barbell back squat with proper form and to avoid injury, don't round the back, don't look down at the floor, avoid lifting the heels off of the ground, and try not to bounce or use momentum during the lift. You should also avoid sitting on a bench during the down portion. This can compress the spine between the heavy barbell and the stationary bench and can result in injury. Lastly, avoid letting the knees buckle inward or outward, or letting the knees go excessively forward past the toes. The focus should be on sitting back, not bending the knees forward. There are many variations of the traditional squat, including sumo squats with a wide stance, barbell front squats where you squat with the barbell in front instead of behind the back, dumbbell squats, goblet squats using either a kettlebell or dumbbell pressed up against the chest, overhead squat with the weight above the head, sandbag front squats, and bodyweight squats, just to name a few. The goblet squat variation is shown here with a kettlebell. You can either use a kettlebell or a dumbbell held up against the chest. Try and keep the elbows tucked in throughout the squat movement. Another variation would be to do a sandbag front squat. The barbell deadlift is a classic whole body strength exercise that works most of the muscles in the body. It focuses on the gluteals, the hamstrings and quadriceps, and also works core muscles like the abdominals and the back, specifically the spinal erectors, and also the trapezius or upper back muscles. To do the barbell deadlift, start with a loaded barbell directly in front of your shins. Bend down with your hips and knees, with the hips slightly higher than the knees, and grab the bar with either an overhand grip with both palms down or a mixed grip with one palm up and one palm down. Arms should be straight and positioned so that your hands are wider than shoulder width, slightly outside the knees. Legs should be shoulder width apart with the feet parallel or the toes slightly pointed outward. Inhale and then lift the bar by straightening the legs, thrusting the hips forward, and pulling the torso back and up, exhaling towards the end of each movement. Pause and then lower the bar back down to the floor by bending the hips and the knees. To do a barbell deadlift properly, there are several things to keep in mind. First of all, in terms of things to do, try and keep your core tight and keep your back straight with a slight natural arch throughout the entire movement. Keep the arms straight and the bar as close to your legs as possible during the movement. And keep the knees pointed in the same direction as the feet to avoid letting the knees buckle inward or outward. Push the feet into the floor and slightly outward as you lift up. Squeeze the shoulder blades together and then also pull the shoulders back at the top of the lift. If you're lifting heavier weights and you want a stronger grip, try using a mixed or alternating grip. Also, keep the head in alignment with the spine and avoid looking up with your head like you would with a squat. In terms of things to avoid, don't round or arch the back, and avoid squatting down too deep. Ideally, a deadlift should not involve bending the knees excessively. There are many variations of the deadlift, including wide grip deadlift, sumo deadlift, stiff leg deadlift, Romanian deadlift, dumbbell deadlift, and a trap bar deadlift, as shown in this video. Lunges are excellent leg exercises that work most of the main muscles of the legs, including the quadriceps, the gluteals, the hamstrings, the calves, and the inner and outer thighs. To do a lunge, start from a normal standing position, inhale, and then take a large step forward onto the front leg until the front knee is bent at a 90-degree angle and the rear knee lowers straight down to about an inch off the floor. Pause in the lowered position, exhale, and then push back to the starting position. Complete your set on one side and then switch to the other leg. Another alternative is to alternate the legs back and forth or to do walking lunges. When doing lunges, you should focus on lowering the body straight down instead of leaning forward. An effective way of doing this is placing a towel on the floor about 12 to 16 inches in front of the rear foot so that you can focus on bringing the rear knee straight down towards the towel. You should also keep your body upright throughout the entire movement. Don't let your front knee extend past the toes. This can potentially cause injury to the knee. Variations of lunges include weighted lunges using barbells, dumbbells, sandbags, and kettlebells, reverse lunges, walking lunges, and side lunges. Walking lunges are shown in this video. The back hyperextension works mainly the supporting muscles of the back called the spinal erectors, and also focuses on the gluteals and the hamstrings. To do the back hyperextension, lie face down on either a flat or angled Roman chair bench and hook your heels under the roller pad, placing your front thighs against the support pad, positioned slightly below belt level. Cross your arms, inhale, and then slowly lower your torso down with control and a straight, naturally arched back. Pause at the bottom and then raise the upper body back to the starting position with the body straight or slightly hyperextended, exhaling at the end of each movement. When doing back hyperextensions, do make sure to keep your core tight and avoid rounding your lower back. Also, don't add too much weight. The focus should be on doing more repetitions, not using heavy weights. There are several variations of the back hyperextension, including weighted hyperextensions, floor back extensions, and Supermans. Tabletop crunches are a crunch variation that tends to work the rectus abdominis and the hip flexors. To do the tabletop crunch, lay flat on a mat with the legs in the tabletop position, meaning a 90-degree bend at the knees. Put the medicine ball up on your horizontal shins. Inhale and then rise up to grab the medicine ball by tightening the abdominal muscles, exhaling at the end of the crunch movement. Lift the ball over the head, returning back to the starting position. Reach up, crunch again to put the med ball back on the shins, and then let go and return to the original starting position without the ball. Continue to repeat the sequence. To do tabletop crunches properly, do make sure to get your shoulders off the ground, and also focus on lifting the body off the ground by tightening the abdominal muscles. Don't lift the butt off the ground or rock back and forth forcefully when doing the movements. Variations of the tabletop crunch include extending the legs when the ball is extended over the head. You can see this variation in the following video.